Yes, it's a Friday, and welcome to another episode of the Live from Cambridge with me, El Papi. And like I promised in the previous episode, this Friday we're going to be talking about Newcastle United. We're going to be looking at the games that they've played so far in the 2023-24 season. And also we're going to be looking at the new signings and the squad in general, and see their prospects, especially now that they're playing in the Champions League. So, without wasting much of your time, ladies and gentlemen, let's just jump straight into it. So the first game that Newcastle United played of the 2023-24 season, they played against Aston Villa, and Newcastle were playing at home, and what a start to the new season for Eddie Howe and the tune. Tonali, new signing, made an instant impact in 6 minutes, and obviously Isak, the goal-scoring machine that he is, scored 2 goals with Callum Wilson, as per usual, and another debutant, Harvey Barnes, who was signed from the relegated Leicester, scored a 91-minute debut goal against Aston Villa, and we all thought that Newcastle were up and running. Emphatic start to the season. I'm sure this result gave shivers across the whole Premier League that new signings, Tonali, Barnes, Isak and Callum Wilson, the 2 regular strikers, are on form again, winning 5-0 at home against Aston Villa. Unai Emery's Aston Villa, to be precise. And so the next game they played was against Man City, the current champions. To be honest, I really thought that Newcastle were going to at least come away with a point. They were playing at the Etihad, they were playing away. 1-0 result. Look, on the balance of play, I think Newcastle probably deserved a draw, but it didn't happen. Man City proving to be a tougher opponent for Newcastle, but I was really disappointed with the performances of Newcastle's players, having scored 5 goals in the previous game. I thought they had the momentum, but I mean, let's be fair, they're playing against Man City. And the shocking game for me, Newcastle versus Liverpool. This game was played on the 27th of August. This was the 3rd game of Newcastle in the Premier League. Started well for Newcastle, to be honest. Anton Gordon scoring against his former arch-rival. Liverpool, Gordon was a former Toffee, that's Everton. Scoring against Liverpool, I think for me, it was just, perfect writing on the wall. 25 minutes in, Anton Gordon scoring his first Premier League goal for the season for Newcastle. And then what happened? Van Dijk got a red card in this game, and I thought momentum has shifted again towards Newcastle. But the thing with Liverpool, they never give up. They keep on riding their wave. And Darwin Núñez, the substitute, scored the equalizer in the 81st minute. And then when we thought this game was heading towards a draw, in the 90 plus 3 minute, Darwin Núñez scored the winner. So, Newcastle, for me, they were supposed to win the game against Liverpool. They scored first, they had a man advantage. But to be honest, they played very well. The likes of Guimaraes, and also the likes of Miguel Almiron hitting the woodwork twice, if I'm not mistaken. So many chances. Newcastle should have buried Liverpool in the first half, actually. But you know how it is. If you fail to be clinical enough in front of a goal, you might leave to rule your chances. And the 4th game that Newcastle played, now this was a very, very interesting game in terms of on paper and on the field of play. Brighton against Newcastle was Newcastle's 4th game. They were playing away at the Amex Stadium. That was on the 2nd of September, and Brighton, with not really a surprise win, but a solid performance, especially in the first half, considering that Ferguson scored his first senior hat-trick in the colours of Brighton. First half hat-trick. A bit surprisingly for Nick Pope and the others. I think for me, Newcastle really took Ferguson for granted, especially with the third goal. I think he scored from outside the box with the inside of his foot, a nice curler. The defenders were backing off Ferguson. I think they really, didn't defend very well, Newcastle, because look, 15 shots for Brighton, 6 on target, 3 were goals, and Newcastle 9 shots on target, or 9 shots overall, and only 2 shots were on target. Brighton dominated the game, 56 ball possession. Well, we might expect this because Brighton were playing at home and they really know how to play fantastic football, compared to Newcastle's 43%. Total passes, Brighton had 565 passes compared to the 440 of Newcastle. But interestingly, the pass accuracy between the two teams was fairly even. Brighton had an 89% passing accuracy, and Newcastle had an 84% of pass accuracy. So, looking into Newcastle's signings for the season and the squad overall. So, Newcastle signed in Sandro Tonali from Italy, the Serie A there. Look, he's a fantastic footballer, but I have to be honest, when I first heard the news that Tonali is signing for Newcastle, I never really thought, with all due respect to Newcastle, I never really thought that Tonali was the type of player that can actually play and be settled in Newcastle. But he's proven me wrong so far. Four starts and a goal. I think it's a good start considering that he's been playing in Serie A. It's a bargain for me. I think Tonali is a world-class player, and you can see the combination that Tonali is already making in the middle field with the likes of Miguel Almiron playing in front of him, Bruno Guimaraes playing alongside him. It's a wonderful blend. It's a wonderful mix of players with different skills and abilities. And also for me, I think one of the key signings, I think Harvey Barnes for me is a bargain of the season. Look, Harvey Barnes has been playing the Premier League for the past 3, 4, 5 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been doing pretty well when he was playing for Leicester City. I really think that Harvey Barnes is the bargain for me, because Harvey Barnes has the potential to start in the Newcastle shirt, and also like what he was also accustomed to doing at Leicester City, coming in from the bench from time to time and scoring crucial goals. So I think it is definitely going to be all roses in terms of the attacking forwards. We look at the number of attackers that Newcastle have. Let's include Harvey Barnes there. Let's include Elliot there. Let's include Alexandra Isak. Let's include Callum Wilson. I think these guys are very, very, very seasoned and prolific strikers for me. I think Newcastle in the Premier League, I think they're going to be scoring more goals. And now, looking at their prospects in the Champions League. Remember, Newcastle haven't been playing European football for quite a long time now. And judging from the start of their 2023-24 season, I think it's going to be very difficult, considering the fact that already Newcastle has played 4 games and they have lost 3 of those games. Well, okay, fine. The 3 losses came against very, very formidable opponents in the likes of the champions Man City, Liverpool, and Brighton. So I think those were pretty tough fixtures for Newcastle to start with. But for me, I think the Liverpool game, they should have gotten a draw. So judging from that performance, I think it's going to be very difficult for Newcastle, to balance the pressure of the Premier League and the new terrain, the Champions League for me. But, let's take a look at the group that Newcastle is in. It's interesting to see that Newcastle, after a long exodus away from European football, they are in it in Group F, and they're playing against Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund, and AC Milan. Look, for me, on paper, I think Newcastle are of the same pedigree with Dortmund in terms of domestic performances, and I think for me on paper, I think Newcastle is slightly stronger than AC Milan. But my only question, or my only problem that I have with Newcastle is, will they have the pedigree or enough experience, to actually clinch probably second position in this? But I think if Newcastle can manage to topple AC Milan and get Europa League qualification with third spot, I think it's going to be a great achievement. But looking at the investors, the owners, I think they came here with a serious intention of qualifying for Europe and competing in the later stages of Europe. But I wasn't really convinced, with one or two signings that they probably could have made. These signings who have probably enough experience in the Champions League. But look, I think momentum is with Newcastle. Yes, it's unfortunate that they lost 3 of their 4 opening games in the Premier League. They were playing against formidable teams. But I think Newcastle, minimum requirement for me, I think it's to get a spot in the Europa League. That's third position in Group F. Minimum expectations, I think Newcastle can be the second, can be on the second spot. They might topple Dortmund, they might topple AC Milan, but I doubt if Newcastle can topple Paris Saint-Germain. So that is it from me, El Papi, and join us next Friday when we'll be talking all things Liverpool on this next edition of the Live from Cambridge with El Papi. So until then, it's bye for now.